Congratulations, John.
Thank you,
We are so excited to have you as a part of the 2021 Silver Beaver class for the Northern Star Scouting.
and I'm glad to be here.
What what an exciting man. I have to say I've known you for quite a few years now, and you have got some quiet little nuances that I don't think everybody knows about.
Okay.
Can you share with us a little bit about your military experience?
Yes, I can do that. Basically, I joined the military in 1975. One of the things that I went in with six other comrades. We went in together, basic training, went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri there. The funny thing about it, on our way back, leaving there, it snowed about 2 or 3 feet. So we had to delay a couple of days before we got back home. But from there, I was, my MOS was as far as the military, I was doing the engineering type stuff. I got an opportunity to do a lot of the engineering stuff. We got a chance to go to, trying to think of the place here. We went to Honduras.
Honduras.
And we actually built roads and stuff like that in the rural area to help them out there. From there, I went from rank from an E1 all the way up to E8. And from there, I switched over and went to the warrant officer corps. There, I was a warrant officer from W1 all the way up to W3. So I ended up being in the military for about 30 years and coming out of there as a Chief Warrant Officer 3. So really rewarding opportunity to be able to be in the military and to serve my country.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for serving your country.
Sure.
I was really surprised when I saw how much leadership training that you had gone through when you were in the military.
Yes.
So flipping that, where does leadership training come now as a scout leader?
I think it come at the top. I think that's very important because in that role, you have people looking at you, especially the scouts. I wouldn't say like a role model, but a model itself. They're looking at you and how you react, and by doing that, that will help them to be able to, their citizenship, character. The other thing is physical fitness. I like that in scouting there, and then also leadership training that the scouts get.
Now, one of the things I think I loved it that you just said was the fact that it's not so much it's people watching you. That's I think one of the most important things. I know that when I get involved in leadership, especially with adults, uniforming is really a big piece of adult scouting. And you're right, you can wear a uniform, like I look at your uniform, and it's to the T, by the way. And it's because when people look at you, they go, oh, that's the way it should be done. That's the way it should be worn. And I think that's the kind of model that you are for even the scouts themselves.
Yeah, I think that translates from military. As you can see here, I have the military crease here.
I noticed that very much so.
Three in the back there, and so that was translated from military to here. And
now, let me ask you something. When you said translating from the military, I read a little something that mentioned something in your marriage. You're kind of a on-time kind of a guy.
Oh, yeah. Big
So
time.
how does that spread to the rest of your family?
Well, sometimes they don't like it, but it just inbred in me from the military. Even Wood Badge, I've been to Wood Badge, 4 or 5 times and got an opportunity to be the course director in 2014.
Right.
And I think it was important to be on time because there was a lot of things that had to be done throughout the day, and if you wasn't on time, you wasn't going to get an opportunity to get those things done. So, yeah, that's very important, top on my list.
I remember when you mentioned Wood Badge, you and I attended Wood Badge on the same course.
Yes.
A few years before you were course director. And one of the things, though, we served, I think, on our first course together as a staff member, and I believe that you had a camera in hand most of the time.
Yes.
So how does photography play in your life?
That's important. Since, the last 12 years, I started out working, doing photography work on my own. And then I started learning on my own. And then from there, I ended up, being in a club, photography club here in the Minneapolis area that we meet once a month. We do a lot of photo shoots of models, indoors and also outdoors. And from there, I've started doing that as a business on the side. I do have a photography business on the side.
Oh, nice.
Done several weddings, birthdays, those type of things there. And even senior portrait.
And a
Indoor
what?
senior portrait.
Oh,
Indoors
really?
and outdoors, yeah.
Oh, wow. So you've taken something that you love and you continue to love as you incorporate it in even, like you said, a side job.
Yeah, I'm always forward looking. And I'm looking at this as an opportunity once I do retire from civilian life, then I can continue doing things that I want to do as photography.
Okay.
So I think that's a very important. Another thing, I think I got that information that came forward from being in the military. I think back then, like I said, I had a lot of friends that went in, they dropped out. I decided to continue to move forward with it. And in doing so, I was looking forward that, hey, maybe I can get 20 or 30 years, and that can help me in retirement. And so that was one of the driving things to keep moving forward.
When you say about, how you kept moving forward in the military, you also did that in scouting. I mean, you started in the Cub,
Yeah.
and can you explain some of your progression and some of the exciting things that you did through your scouting history?
Yes, my son, which is John Lewis II.
Nice name.
After his dad. He started off as a Tiger Cub. And so I worked there, starting there in the Cub Scout, and then went into Boy Scout. But going into Boy Scout, I didn't really understand all the ins and outs. And when I got there, I had like a unit manual that they have. I think it's like 30 pages or something like that. I believe I read that thing about 4 or 5 times just to make sure that I understood what the ins and outs. But one of the things I liked was about, camping, and scouting. We got an opportunity to do an hour adventure in Alaska. That was way cool.
Oh, wow.
So we basically travel each and every day to a different location. And one of the interesting that happened while we was there, we first went to a Cub Scout base camp to spend the night. And late in the morning, around about 2 o'clock in the morning, unusual, but for me, because it was still daylight.
Right.
It didn't really get dark. It kind of dusk. But early in the morning, we heard this bear. It was in the back of the cafeteria, and we
Getting a
went to
little
see-
something, something.
Yeah, he's in the trash can getting something to eat, and then we heard them run him away. But that trip was a nice trip because we got a chance, to do whitewater rafting. We did mountain bike. We even did deep sea fishing, catching like 40, 60-pound halibuts. And then in one location, we got like a 43-pound salmon. And we ate it real fresh right off the hook, and it was exciting there. So that was an exciting trip there. Man.
How long did it take for you guys to plan on, to develop that trip?
We had most of the scouts there. They mainly planned the whole thing. The adults there would help to guide them through the process. So it probably took us around 6 to 7 months to get everything planned and ready to go. So it was a nice trip.
That's interesting. Now, did you guys touch base with any scouts from Alaska as well? I think you mentioned you guys stayed at a camp, but did you guys touch base with any troops up there?
Yeah, we did. There was a couple of troops already there as well, and we got a chance to talk to them. And also, on our way back, we spent another night there and able to see some of the scouts there and talk to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an impact.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, do you still see the scouts? Probably, I'm sure your son, but I mean, do you see any other scouts still that may bring that up when you run into them now?
Yeah, they remember that course. Even some of the leaders that went on that course, they still remember that. In fact, recently one of the leaders wanted to try to get that unit to have another trip there because it was so impactful.
Wow, that sounds absolutely outstanding. When you talk about the Scouts and those kinds of experiences, I'm sure you've served on many Eagle Board of Reviews.
Right.
What is the most important for you point
Well,
of the Scout Law?
well, I think it's two, but the first one I would say it will be trustworthy. And why I say trustworthy, because I think it's important to be truthful, to tell the truth, so that people can believe in you and trust in you. Because one of the things is that once you lose the trust, sometimes it's hard to get it back. It's kind of like climbing up a mountain, trying to reach the peak there. And so I think it's important to continue to, trust because remember, we have a little one watching us.
Yes.
And so we have to be a model. I say a model, not necessarily a role model, but a
Right.
model
I love that.
in whatever we do and say.
Right. And then what is the other one? You said there were two.
The other one will be obedient. Because of my faith in God, I think it's important to be obedient to God, but also just be obedient. I think the kids, you need to see that obedience there, and they need to be able to emulate that.
I like that. Now you mentioned your faith and your faith in God and the strength. I see that you serve as a deacon at your congregation that you.
Yes, not only
Respect.
deacon, I'm the chairman of the board of the chairman of the deacon board, but also the chairman of the board of trustee there. And I do, Sunday school as a Sunday school teacher, but I also do other things in the church. So if you look at it, probably like the right-hand man for the pastor and whatever he
Right.
needs to get done. Yeah.
That is absolutely fantastic. You also do you take part in the VBS Vacation Bible School?
Yeah, I help out in that area. In fact, that's good you say that. I brought one of the vacation Bible school. I had the knot time, from the Boy Scout. I brought that into there to get the kids excited to understand some of the things we do in scouting.
So do you have you helped implement like a unit at your church? Do you guys sponsor a unit or?
No, unfortunately, we haven't. We at this point here, as far as youth, we have a limited number of youth at this
I
particular
understand
time.
that.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that's so true. I understand you like to sneaking little presents to people. You like giving gifts.
Yeah, I think
Do you want
that's
to share some of that with us?
well. I think as a leader, it's important to provide, like you say, gift or rewards to the people that you're working with. I think we are just big kids, right? The
Yes.
kids like to get awards and scouting. I think it's important to
It's
make
funny
sure.
what a pony bead can do for an adult, right?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to do the same for the adults.
That's really neat. Can you tell us something about yourself that most people don't know?
Well, there's a couple of things I can tell you. Number one, around karate. I am a second degree black belt, and
Oh, really?
probably don't know that. Also, we talked about military, right? So most people not aware of my military experience there for 30 years, and basically coming out of the military as a Chief Warrant Officer 3.
You know, it's funny when I heard about your military, but I was not aware of the depth of which it is. But it's interesting. My husband, too, was an engineer.
Okay.
And so when you said engineer, the first thing I thought about was building and roads and
Bridges.
building and yeah, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
How does scouting had an impact on you and your family?
Well, I think for my wife, I appreciate her allowing me to be in there. Now, let's just face it, a spouse is a big part of everything you do as an adult, and you have to keep them involved. I think my son, I think it was rewarding for him because he got an opportunity to go all the way up to Eagle Scout. And when he went to interview for college and stuff like that, I know that helped him out there. but especially trying to, get his first couple of jobs. They looked at that and they asked him question about his ego project, how did he do it there, and I believe that gave him an edge up on obtaining those jobs. He has had no problem getting jobs, but now he's at a job now that I think he'll be there for a while. In fact, he's at the same company that I work at, but I had nothing to do with getting him into the job there. And in fact, he's doing something different. I'm in technology, and he's a buyer at the company where I work at.
Fantastic. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for all that you've done for Scouting and will continue to do for Scouting. And congratulations again, John.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, one of the things I want to do, my goal is to do a hat trick, 3 things. 30 years in the military. Right now I have about 27 years in Scouting. So if I can get 3 more there, about 28 in my civilian job, so 2 more years, 2 to 3.
You almost have a hat trick.
Yeah, almost there.
And
So,
we'll all celebrate with you when you've completed your hat trick.
all right, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to see you again.
You too. Thank you.
Yes.